Hey, what's up, comic fans? It's your boys Campfire Rich and Campfire Nate here, and we're about to drop that top 3 of the week on you. For those of you who don't know, top 3 of the week is a weekly video series where we review 3 comics that come out every Wednesday. We pick 3, sometimes maybe more, mainly 3 that we like, that we're going to read and we're going to talk about on this show. But there are spoilers in this. We are going to talk like you have already read these comics. If you want just a rundown review, you can go to the website at campfirecomics.com and actually read a review with no spoilers. With this, we're getting down into it and we're going to talk about stuff that actually happens in it. So if you haven't read it, shut the video off, read the article, read the comics, and then come back to us. This week we got 3 good ones. 2 good ones for me. I'll let Nate talk about one of them, which is Justice League issue 41. That's kind of his jam right there.
Well, for anybody that's been reading this series, they know that Jeff Johns seems to be, he's been building up to this for a while, you know. Ever since the very first issue of Justice League, it's been Darkseid, and he's coming. And he basically, in the very first issue of the comic, you know, he showed up and the Justice League got formed and they were able to beat him. So, you know, Darkseid went away and he's basically been spending the last 40 issues, or, well, I guess 35 issues, trying to get stronger. You know, he wants to come back. And this issue, it's been building up to this, and we have a few new interesting characters. One in particular, this lady is basically, if you read the prologue, it basically seems like she is the Darkseid's like daughter with an Amazonian. So we're gonna have like this.
Oh, is that who that was?
Woman. Yeah.
See, I didn't even know. It probably would have helped if I would have read maybe issues 1 through 39. Instead, I just read 40 through 41, which might be why I didn't take to it very well. So
yeah, that would.
So earlier on, would you say Darkseid?
Darkseid.
That's what I said. Darkseid. Yeah, Darkseid. He fights him, gets slapped up, and then kind of like tucks tail and run. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So while he's out chilling, the Avengers thinks, I guess he's not the Avengers, the Justice League. So the Justice League, they think he's out while Darkseid, he's out, what, building an army and bulking up, ready to plan the second attack.
Yeah, I mean,
and that chick is his daughter, but she was kind of bad.
Yeah, this lady, I don't even know if he knows she exists at this point. This character is something that, from old days of Justice League, I'm pretty sure it's a new character. She basically seems like she's the daughter of Darkseid and this Amazonian. So, you know, she's going to have, you know, crazy Wonder Woman Amazonian powers mixed with, you know, God powers like Darkseid. So who knows? I mean, this chick comes in this episode, she jumps right in and literally just smacks the whole Justice League. And yeah, it's like, what is going on? And, you know, sticking to classic Jeff Johns fashion, because Jeff Johns, the thing about Jeff Johns is a funny joke me and one of my buddies always talk about is how much Jeff Johns loves his B-listers. You know, he enjoys, you know, Superman and Batman, but he loves to just stick that, you know, B-list guy into the middle of his stories. And for this one, it's Miracle Man. And
it's who?
Miracle Man.
Oh yeah, the guy that could, like, he was like a master lock, like he could pick locks or something, right?
Yeah, you'd have to do some. I mean, maybe we'll do a Miracle Man breakdown for character highlights, so you can kind of get a little bit more understanding Miracle Man. But basically, Miracle Man, there was an agreement that came between Darkseid and the world of Apocalypse and the world of New Genesis, which was like, you know, if there's a good planet, it's New Genesis. If there's a dark planet, it's Apocalypse. And they basically took their sons, their oldest sons, and swapped them so that it would stop the war between them. Well, the son from New Genesis, who was thrown into basically a, you know, slavery. Right. That's Miracle Man. You know, he spent years and years learning how to basically be able to sneak in and sneak out. And you know, he's appeared in numerous comics, DC comics, off and on, here and there. I even think a while back he might have had his own comic. So in this one, he's coming back, and I mean, he looks bad. Don't get me wrong. They make him look a lot freaking cooler than he did in a lot of the other comics.
Oh yeah, I don't. Obviously, I'm not familiar with him from any other comics, but yeah, no, he looked tight in this one for sure. And I guess it's a good thing they locked him up then, right? Because I mean, if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't have his skill set. He wouldn't have the ability that he has. So
yeah, it's kind of
probably
like
manned him up a little bit. I don't know. He probably would have been a sissy if he'd have stayed on New Genesis.
Yeah, I mean, everything he is in spite of everything that he's been through. So, you know, they spend a lot of time kind of talking to him with that kind of internal monologue going on. You know, what's going on in his head, and that he feels like he needs to go there. And there's actually a pretty big confrontation between him and Darkseid. And if anything, it just makes Darkseid seem that much more just devastated. I mean, he's huge. I mean, he looks big. I mean, if you go back in the old Justice League animation, I mean, Darkseid's the same size as everybody else. This thing, Darkseid looks beast. And he looks like he's about ready to just squash Miracle Man like a bug. So, you know, and then you have, if you read the prologue, it looks like, you know, Darkseid's daughter is basically working with the Anti-Monitor. And if you know anything about the Anti-Monitor, it's just another god who wants to destroy planets, and another great character that would be great for us to do a character highlight on. But it looks like it's going to come down to Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor going on one-on-one, and the Justice League is going to be mixed up in it. So this issue pretty much lays the groundwork for it. Something that I'm pretty sure that again, that Jeff Johns has been planning to do for a long time. He's just been waiting to kind of drag it out till felt like, you know, lay some groundwork with your characters and stuff like that. So I'm excited about it. It's one of the maybe 2 or 3. The original, when DC did the New 52, one of the original comics I still read. So I'm looking forward to it. It's really exciting.
Yeah, maybe I'll get more into it and get caught up to speed so that everything is not completely new to me. So
it's not something. It's really difficult to go in reading it not knowing. You know, it's not the same with some of the other comics that we've done where you can go into it and be like, oh, this is only an issue or 2 ahead. I can go back and read. You know, no, this is something you're going to have to go back and read from the beginning to really appreciate this particular
I mean, it makes sense.
issue.
I mean, it makes sense, and it's actually segues nicely into the next one, which is Star Wars. And I'm going to go ahead and let you know, I'm a Star Wars fan. You see this right here? Father's Day gift. Some Star Wars clock. So I'm a Star Wars fan, so anytime Star Wars pops up, it's automatically top 3. All right, it's automatically going to be in there. This week's no exception. And like Star Wars, man, you're not going to be able to pick up. I can't imagine somebody picking this particular comic up and they have never watched or read or know anything else about this universe whatsoever, and they try to read it. Like, they're going to be 100% lost. They're not going to get any references or any jokes. They're not going to know anything about the characters. I mean, I'm assuming that's how I am. You know, we was talking about the Justice League a minute ago. I'm out of it.
Yeah, since the new Star Wars comics have come out, if you're a Star Wars fan, they've dropped about, I want to say like 5 or 6 different ones. If you're not sure which one to read Star Wars by Jason Aaron and read Darth Vader by Kieran Gillen. I mean, we're talking about, literally, if you're going to read one, I would suggest read them both, only because they kind of are meant to be read together. You're going to read the Star Wars and you're going to read the Vader, and it's kind of like you're seeing what took place from Vader's point of view. So
yeah,
it's
definitely. I mean, it's not kind of. That's exactly it. They definitely hand in hand.
And for anyone who knows anything about the shows, you really just don't get, you just don't get that what Vader's thinking. Especially in the original movies, and since the prequels are unmentionable as far as I'm concerned, it's really difficult to want to know what's going on in Vader's head. But they do a great job. It's only 6 issues in, and it's already one of my favorite new comics for sure.
Oh yeah, they do a fantastic job with Vader. really fleshing that character out more, because you don't get a ton in the original movies, you know, as far as like his depth, and you don't get any depth whatsoever in the prequels. The only time I really liked Anakin or Darth Vader, it really was Anakin, because it was in the Clone Wars, because they really focused on his character, and by the end of it, you start to understand kind of what he's thinking, and you understand his actual ability and what he can do. And this comic just kind of picks up with that, and it's more of a history. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, you're really going to enjoy it. You're not getting like a lot of just crazy new unfound stuff, you know, that's going to blow your mind. But it is canon. So what happens in these comic books does directly correspond to what's going to be coming out in the future movies that they got set for us.
Right,
And it's just nice. It's nice history, you know. It's just adding to the legacy of the Skywalkers.
And it falls in a great spot, which is pretty much what you would consider like a black zone. It basically takes place between the first movie, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back. You know, you end with New Hope with the Death Star being destroyed by Luke, and you know everyone's happy and they're getting their nice little medals of valor or whatever, and then all of a sudden you pick up in the Empire Strikes Back and they're on Hoth. I mean, how did they get to Hoth? You know, why are they not back on yet? I mean, you just don't know. So there's a large gap of space there that they basically gave these guys. They said, here's the universe. Stay within this universe, but you're willing to do whatever you can, because they have a beginning, they have an end. So, and I mean, Jason Aaron, anybody who knows who you know who Jason Aaron is. I mean, he's writing Southern Bastards right now, which I haven't gotten around to reading, but I heard that Southern Bastards is a really good comic.
All right.
I definitely want to get around to reading that. And he did some great work, I believe, on a Wolverine a while back. One of my buddies mentioned that. He does a great job with the Star Wars, and then Gillian with Vader. It's just it puts you in situations like, for example, with the Star Wars issue. You basically have a showdown between Luke and Boba Fett. Now, let me first off say, Boba Fett is probably my favorite character in Star Wars. I mean, if you're going to see me at a convention, I'm probably
a lot of people would probably say that one.
You know, so it's like, when would you ever see, besides the little, back and forth that happened on Jabba's luxury barge there at the end of Return of the Jedi, there wasn't a whole lot of Luke Boba Fett action going on. So this is pretty exciting. And it ends, that particular issue ends between the fight. Luke is blinded, he can't see, so he's fighting him, and when it all seems like Boba Fett's gonna win, Luke uses the Force and doesn't realize it. He basically uses the Force and knocks him out by pulling an object towards him. So he can't even see that he did it, but he's used the Force, and he's knocked Boba Fett out, and he crawls out of it. So that's kind of exciting, because later on when he does stuff like that, it's like, it seems like it's for the first time. Well, he's done it, doesn't know he's done it.
Yeah, he doesn't realize. He's confused.
He doesn't realize it, and he's blind.
Well, it's cool, because he's still in training. I mean, he just found out in episode 4 that he even could do this stuff, and now he's pretty much learning without guidance. He don't even have guidance. Old Ben. Well, I guess Obi-Wan is still there in spirit and stuff like that, because he pops in and out. But he's in training. He's still kind of training himself, and so we get to see that, and we get to see a little bit more of Luke and him fighting. So it's nice. It's nice seeing that. And at the end of both of them, like we said, we're kind of talking about the Vader and the Star Wars together as one, because ultimately they are. I mean, what happens in the Star Wars comic is also kind of happening in the Darth Vader comic. It's just from his point of view. And Vader and Luke, they face off. Is this the first time they face off? Is in this 6th issue?
No, Luke and Vader don't face off in this.
Yeah, they do.
No, Vader is in this issue. He's tracked down the guy that he was looking for, and he's made these clones, these weird like Jedi clones, and Vader has to fight these weird Jedi clones in basically while the Emperor watches. because the Emperor apparently doesn't have a problem with kind of using the Force, twisting it to kind of create Force-like characters that are not really sentient beings, and Vader has a problem with that. You can definitely tell that he uses the word blasphemy, I think, a couple of times. I mean, because it's one of the very first, I guess, the moments that you kind of start seeing that Vader maybe not completely on board with what the Emperor has going on for him. Like he's not entirely like okay, and the Emperor's kind of like, hey, it's all out. I'm dark side, baby, all the way, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. What? And Vader and Vader's kind of like, you're messing with something that you might not need to be messing with. So
well, Vader's starting to really understand, the dark side, or the way that the Emperor's portraying it to him. It's like, because he's basically hiring these guys to take. He only needs one, right? Like he's training these guys, have been training, or they're kind of like cyborgs.
Yeah, they are.
They're kind of like cyborgs, and they've been trained to maybe take Vader's place.
Right.
And so, like, Vader's just up on, they're just up there, and he's like, hey, if they can kill you, then I don't have use for you. I'm going to take him. And if you prove me right and you can beat them, then you've proved that you can still be my apprentice and stay with me. Which is...
It's kind of it's interesting, because you're not entirely sure if the Emperor's just doing this as a test, or if he really doesn't care. Like, maybe he's like, okay, let's throw the biggest, nastiest thing you have, because it's not like there's a bunch of Jedi running around at this point in the galaxy. Let's throw the hardest thing you can at Vader and see if he's still got what it takes.
Yeah.
And
I don't think he cares, to be honest. I literally don't think he cares. I think he's like, if he dies, he dies. I'll pick another one up.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I think he even alluded to the fact that, he wants to basically be able to create, not actually... have to train, but basically create an apprentice. Oh, my apprentice died. Okay, bring in the next apprentice. He's not really worried about that. And it's interesting, because Vader, you can definitely tell Vader's not okay with this. He's not...
Oh, no, he's ticked. As a matter of fact, not only does he get ticked about it, but, he kind of, bites his tongue. Like, you can sense that, Vader's kind of amped up. Vader bites his tongue. He don't say nothing. He realizes, like, oh, is that the way it's going to be? Ruling the universe, it's every man for himself kind of situation. Well, the cool thing about this is he realizes who Luke is for the first time.
Right. If you remember back, I want to say it was second issue or the first issue. Basically, Vader, actually it was the first issue. Vader asked Jabba Hutt, he needed 2 bounty hunters, and one of them was Boba Fett, and he needed him to track down the so-called young Force-sensitive pilot that he had encountered, and wanted to know what was going on with him. Well, Boba Fett finds out. Only thing he finds out is the last name, which is Skywalker, and in probably the most fantastic situation is when. At the very end of the comic, Boba Fett basically comes, he's like, all I found out was his name, Skywalker. And Vader's wearing a mask, but if this man wasn't wearing a mask, just the facial expression on his face. It's like he has a flashback where he remembers Padme saying, I'm pregnant. And then he has a flashback of the Emperor saying, you killed her. And like, he's like, they do just such a great job of making you kind of see what's going on inside of his head. And then once he realizes it, he just, it's just epic. He like grabs his hands and sits there and just kind of like,
oh, he's about to break the glass. Like he's about to go Super Saiyan mode up in that ship and go crunk. And that's a credit to the artist and the writer to this, because like you were saying, he's got a mask. You can't draw his expression on there. But the intense build, like, you're reading that and like, man, I can feel his anger. Just like, oh, man, he's hot now. And it's going to be nice to see him interact with Luke between, this time period that we're looking at now, because this is when you can tell he's already thinking, I want Luke to be my apprentice. I want him to kill the Emperor, and then we can go forward. And you can see that that's kind of going on in his head already.
He's thinking it out, and a credit to them the way they wrote this, completely coincides with the movie itself. Because if you remember in Empire, you know, the Emperor basically says that this is the son of Skywalker, and he basically says, you know, search your feelings, and he's like, at this point, why would he tell the Emperor anything? You know, you can definitely get the feeling that they're at odds. So even if he knew it, and then the Emperor tells him later, he'd be like, how do you know this? You know, he's gonna play it off like he doesn't know at this point. So it's totally fits. You know, like at this point, he's trying to keep this a secret because, like you said, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my son. I'm going to complete his training, and we're going to kill this Emperor guy who apparently thinks I'm expendable at this point. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be a long time to wait till the next one comes out because I'm really looking forward to see what he does.
I'm ready to read it. I'm ready to read it right now. I know I'm down to see Vader kick some butt and go ham on some people. But that's about all we got. So that's going to wrap up our top 3 this week. Like, comment, subscribe, get in the conversation. Follow us on Twitter, Comfire Rich and Comfire Nate. Throw us a shout out, man. Let us know what you think. I'm always down to talk Star Wars. If you want to talk Justice League and not, what was that I said earlier? The Avengers. Get with Nate on that. He'll fill your head with all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be much help. But you want to talk Star Wars, hit your boy up. Until next time, we out.
See ya.